We're back for more Silmarillion, and we are deep into the heart of it. The hardest part about reading through this book is the fact that nothing is segmented up into chapters, and so we just kind of cover themes each week right now, because we're technically into the Quenta Silmarillion, and it's just basically what are we reading this week? What's the theme of the week? Um, I don't even know what episode we're on now. We've been doing this for a while now. So if you're new here to the channel, every Monday traditionally at around 9 or 10 a.m., sometimes 1 p.m. It's just sometime on Monday. I do the Mondays in Middle Earth show. We've been doing this for a year and a half now, over a year and a half. We started with The Hobbit. We did The Hobbit. We did The Fellowship of the Ring. We did The Two Towers. We did The Return of the King. We did the appendices of The Return of the King. And now we're into the Silmarillion. So if you like that, make sure to check out the playlist. Links are down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all those good things, so that you always get updated when the new episodes are here. And if you like this podcast, you will also probably like Decoding Dune, which has episodes releasing every Thursday. So check out that one as well. So the section we're about to get into, like I said, this is harder to read than the original books were because this isn't laid out in novel format. So when we left off, we had left off with it says here, but even as Orome passed, the servants of Melkor would gather again, and the lands were filled with shadows and deceit. So we had left off on sort of a sour note. But we're starting off here saying, now everything that follows is said concerning the manner of earth and its rulers in the beginning of days. And it said, before the world became as the children of Iluvatar have known it. Says here that the elves and men are the children, but they understood not any. They didn't. I'm trying to read through this. This is hilarious. They didn't understand the theme by which the children entered into the music. It says none of the Ainur dared to add anything of their own. They didn't understand it. It was too complex. And it says here for which reason the Valar are to these kindreds rather than their elders and their chieftains and their masters. And it says ever after in their dealings with elves and men, the Ainur have endeavored to force them when they would not be guided. It says this has seldom come to good ending, no matter the intent. So trying to force something to work the way you want it isn't necessarily the way to get things done. So it says here that the dealings of the Ainur have mostly been with the elves, for Iluvatar made them more like the Ainur than any other of the children, although less in might and stature. The men receive strange gifts. So then we get into the next part, which says, after the departure of the Valar, there was silence. But do we know how long? It just says for an age. It says, for an age, Iluvatar sat alone in thought. But is it ever mentioned in any of the follow-up books? This is for those of you who are like Tolkien fanatics and experts on this. Does it ever mention how long the age is that he sat alone in thought? Because he then says, behold, I love the earth. It's going to be a mansion for the Quendi and the Atani. But the Quendi I want to be the fairest of all earthly creatures, and they shall... and this is the area where people start getting into the minutia of what he said here. They shall have and conceive and bring forth more beauty than all my children, and have the greater bliss in this world. So this is where I think people have come up with the conclusion that they copulate and procreate in the same way that humans do. It says here, but to the Atani I give a new gift. And it says here, he willed into the hearts of men this desire to seek beyond, but find no rest therein, a virtue to shape their life amid the powers and chances of the world beyond the music of the Ainur, which is to fate to all things else, and their operation everything should be. But it says here that he knew that men, being set amid the turmoils of the powers of the world, would stray often and would not use their gifts in harmony. So why would he, why create something that's chaotic? But he says here that he then spoke and said, even though they're going to stray a lot, they're going to find that everything they do in the end only is to the glory of my work. And this is where I'm going to pause for a moment because I am not a religious person. And I see here that whenever we hear a God story like this, I hear like Stephen Fry, I hear the tales of an arrogant, not a benign, but a very arrogant creator who's like, everything should speak to my glory. I created all of this. I don't hear the benign, oh, it's reflecting my glory. How, I need everything to reflect my goodness. I don't hear that. I hear the creator story of, I'm going to create all this. It's mine. It better reflect my glory. And if they don't, I'm going to punish them with the abyss. That's not the actions of a benign, all loving creator, just as an FYI. That's an opinion, of course. I don't share Tolkien or Lewis's religious beliefs on a benign, um, ever present spaceman. Says the elves believe that men are often a grief to Manwë, who is the closest in the mind to Iluvatar, for it seemed to the elves that men resembled Melkor most of all because of their chaotic nature, even though he himself always feared and hated men, even those who served him. So this goes back to the whole angels being jealous of humans story that we've heard in mythology, in the biblical mythology over and over and over again. By the way, if you've ever watched I think it's a series of film called Prophecy. They were like some indie films that were like in the 90s and early aughts. Like the first one was like Eric Stoltz, Christopher Walken, that Canadian actor who I always forget, who I remembered from as Casey Jones in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, and also Viggo Mortensen as Satan was like, that was one of his coolest little cameo roles, side roles. Really good film series. Obviously, really indie, low budget, but also a fun for the mythology. Jealous angels. I like that. I like that storyline. Um, this says here, with the gift of freedom that the children of men have, they only dwell a short space in the world and are not bound to it like the elves. It says here they depart soon. Hold on, I don't quite understand this passage. Quick commercial break, everyone, to give a shout out to our first official guild officer, Babylonia, as well as all of the guild champions, and of course, all of the members who help keep me on the air full time. To join as a member, simply click that join button below and pick your tier, but you can also support with super chats on any live stream or premiere, or super thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Don't forget the Discord. Let's get back to the video. The depart soon whither the elves know not. So their souls go somewhere that the elves don't know. That's really weird. Why would Iluvatar create it that way? If he's creating all things and all things reflect his glory, why does he send men to a different place than the elves? That makes no sense. It says here, whereas the elves remain till the end of days, and the love of the earth is more single and poignant, and as the years progress, ever more sorrowful, because they die at the end when the world dies, unless they are slain or waste away in grief. It says neither does age subdue their strength, even although unless they grow weary after 10,000 centuries. They are then gathered to the halls of Mandos, where they may in time return. But the sons of men die, leave the world. Therefore they are called guests or strangers, because death is their fate. This is the gift of Iluvatar, which as time wears on, even the powers envy, because they grow weary of being there forever. Okay, so that sort of makes sense, but I don't understand why he would split it up into different things. Unfortunately, Melkor cast his shadow upon all this stuff, confounding it with darkness, and bringing forth evil out of good and fear out of hope. It says, yet of old the Valar declared to the elves in Valinor that men should join in the second music of the Ainur, even though Iluvatar had not revealed purposes for the elves after the world's end, and even Melkor had not discovered it. And that actually ends. We have a chapter 2 note right here, which was surprising. I didn't think we were going to get to an end to that so quickly. So we're going to get into Aule and Yavanna next, which is going to be a cool tale, because Aule being the creator of dwarves and his wife sort of like a druid. I always get the impression of her being like a druid character, but that's next week. So like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Mondays in Middle-earth, everyone. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this stuff as we read through it. Again, it's not necessarily as concise as the chapters were when we were reading through the novelization aspects, because this has never been novelized. But I'm always up for discussions. That's the reason I wanted to reread this, was to refamiliarize myself and to have discussions around topics at hand. So let me know your thoughts. We'll see you in the next episode, everybody.